Good day to you. Michael Didier here. Thank you for joining me. Today's the second day of Sukkot 2017. I hope you're having a good Sukkot this year. I've been out in my tent the last 2 nights. All right. Last week, we finished up the blessings and the curses. We actually did the curses part of it last week. Let me just review that very quickly. Remember, the blessings, blessings, here it is right here. Barakat. Barakot, maybe barakot, because it's a plural. Barakah is the singular form, barakot is the plural form. This is with the definite article, barakot. The blessings. These are the blessings that Yehovah promises for his people if we, look what it says here in verse 1, if we shema his voice. Ooh, shema, I like that so much. Diligently obey is how they translated it. I like that so much. And you know what? The blessings are all about multiplying and increasing Israel, not only in numeric value, but in tangible value. He's going to multiply our land, our herds, our flocks, the fruit of our body, everything. He's going to protect us. He's going to raise us up above all the peoples of the earth. They're going to fear us. It says our enemies will come to us in one direction and flee in 7. Wow. I want to see that happen in my life. All the peoples of the earth. You know what? So interesting that it would say all the earth's people shall see that thou art called by the name of Yehovah. We aren't the earth's people. You may think we live on the earth, but we actually dwell in heaven. We dwell in a place different. We are not the earth's people anymore. We are spiritually born sons of Elohim. We're going to see today, I think we'll get to it. It talks about his seed. Oh my gosh. Yehovah's seed. We're Yehovah's seed. That's a beautiful picture. I hope we get to it. I think it's in, what is this, 28, 29, 30, 30. It's probably in 31. We might get there. We'll see. Anyway, they're all designed to multiply us. But then comes here it is, Kalalat, the curses. The curses. Don't want to be a part of the curses. But it shall come to pass if you do not shema the voice of Yehovah thy Elohim, to observe carefully all his commandments, his statutes, his commandments, his statutes. It's not about obeying the commandments and the statutes of the Elohim of this world. He's going to turn us over to the Elohim of this world if we don't do it. And we're going to die in the land. And that's really the end of all this. He says that all these curses will come upon you. Here, let me just finish it up with this. Maybe I got 2 more things. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you and pursue you and overtake you until you are destroyed. That's what it's about. Instead of preserving our life and multiplying our seed, it's about destroying us and our seed, until you are destroyed because you did not obey the voice of Yehovah thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes as he commanded thee. Well, here's the, I think, kind of the summary of all this. And it shall be that just as Yehovah rejoiced over thee to do thee good and to multiply thee, so Yehovah will rejoice over thee to destroy thee and to bring thee to nothing. Hear that? Yehovah is rejoicing both ways. His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's going to be done in both places. You either go with it or you get plucked from off the land which you go to possess. Ultimately, everybody's going to get plucked from the earth. Remember, it's not about, he says, the righteous shall remain on the earth. In these last days when Yehovah is coming himself to deliver his people Israel out of the land, the earth. Bring them into his jurisdictional authority. It's going to be the rest of the world that's going to be plucked away. The wicked are going to be removed from the earth. It's the righteous who stay on the earth. Blows the heck out of the rapture theory, doesn't it? Ridiculous. Okay, well, let's pick up here today. Again, boy, I hate to be a naysayer, but I feel like such a naysayer. There's so much in Deuteronomy that I take issue with. It says, these are the words of the covenant which Jehovah commanded Moses to make with Israel's seed. You know, this is Israel's seed. There's like 8 times in all of Deuteronomy that it actually talks about B'nai Israel, Israel's seed. All the rest of it is talking about what this one was talking about. 28. It talks about Yehovah, thy Elohim. Deuteronomy almost exclusively talks about Yehovah, thy Elohim when referring to B'nai Israel. That alone is different from Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Of course, Genesis doesn't talk a whole lot about B'nai Israel, once or twice maybe. Why is it different? You know, these are things we have to ask ourselves. Is this part of the book? Is this part of the same book? The same covenant? I've expressed concerns that maybe, just maybe, Torah is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Deuteronomy seems to be something different. Let me just show you this because this is very pertinent, that last comment, to this verse. Look what it says. These are the words of the covenant which Jehovah commanded Moses to make with Israel's seed in the land of Moab. This is different from what he did with them at Horeb. Look what it says. Besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Are there 2 covenants? Does one covenant supersede the other covenant? In the first covenant, all the tithes of Israel, once we got into the land, were going to go to the Levites. In Deuteronomy, they seem to be going to us, and we're sharing them with the Levites and the widows and the orphans, aka really fatherless. Fatherless children are orphans. Doesn't matter whether they have a mother or not, they're an orphan. If they don't have a dad, they need the covering. Besides, here's the word, look at this. Besides, something, bad is the word that they're using here. This is the root of it, apparently, bad. Something that is separated from the whole. Something that is separated from the whole. So, is it not a part of Torah? It's separate from Torah besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Sounds to me like maybe what we're talking about is 2 different things, isn't it? We keep seeing this day, this day, this day, this day. It's like 66 times in Deuteronomy we see this day. This day, we're going to see today, is the day that Moses is going to die. Well, we'll see more of that later. Let's save that. Here's what I put on here. This is yet another chapter. I've expressed my feelings on that. Who is doing the speaking here? It's not Moses or Yehovah. These are the words of the covenant which Jehovah commanded Moses to make with Israel's seed. It's not either one of them, is it? Now it looks like Moses is going to talk. Now Moses called all Israel. All Israel. That's the them. That's the your that we're talking about here. Now Moses called all Israel and said to them, you have seen all that Jehovah did before your eyes in the land of Egypt. Well, not all Israel saw that. Remember, these are men that are standing here today in Moab, on the plain of Moab, who were under 20 when we were supposed to come into the land the first time. All our fathers have died. But the men who were under 20 at that point, who are under 40 at this point, are the people that he's talking to. Those Ezra men. They've already been circumcised, though it appears that their sons have not been circumcised. What's up with that? How could we live 40 years in the wilderness and not circumcise our sons as Jehovah's people? Did we not keep Passover? Shame on us. What's up with that? I imagine there were some who did. But apparently there was a whole lot who didn't. We'll see that in weeks to come when we get into the land. We're going to circumcise all our men and keep a Passover just before we take Jericho. There's going to be a pile of foreskins, a hill of foreskins. Well, shame on us. Now Moses called all Israel and said to them, you have seen all that Jehovah did before your eyes in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and to all his servants, to all his land. The great trials, remember, servants are the men. We're talking about Avedim, men servants, and all his land. The great trials which your eyes have seen, the signs and those great wonders. It was amazing. We saw the Red Sea open up and swallow all the strength of Egypt. Chariots, men marching in front of them, all swallowed. When we left Egypt, it was devastated. There were no crops, there were no herds, no flocks. Their land, like I said, was destroyed by ice, hail, locusts. Their firstborn had died. Now, practically all the men, remember, we saw in Yasher that Pharaoh said every man in Egypt was to come after us. All there's left now is in Egypt were ladies. It was devastated. Yet Jehovah has not given you, y'all, a heart to perceive, eyes to see, and ears to hear to this very day. Why can we not see? Why can we read these scriptures even today and be blind to what they're actually saying and not be able to read into them? He goes on, verse 5, this was Moses talking here. Who's talking now? Yet Jehovah has not given you a heart. That's Moses talking. Now look what it says. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, and your sandals have not worn out on your feet. Who's leading us? Is it Moses? I said, who's this I? My first thought is Moses. Seems like it's Moses. Moses was just talking. But perhaps it's Jehovah who's led us with his pillar of smoke by day and his pillar of fire by night. Isn't that who we followed through the wilderness for these many years? Look what it says in the next verse, which doesn't make sense. You have not eaten bread. We haven't eaten bread? Didn't we make bread from the manna? You have not eaten bread, nor have you drunk wine or similar drink. Wine or similar drink. When we talk about similar drink, we're talking about an alcoholic beverage. That you may know that I am Yehovah, your Elohim. So the I in verse 5 seems to be Yehovah in verse 6. We're going back and forth. But it has to be Moses speaking for Yehovah. But is it? I am Yehovah, your Elohim. I, Ani, that's I. Verse 7. And when you came to this place being Moab, we saw that earlier on in Numbers, Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, came out against us to battle, and we conquered them. So now we're back to Moses again, it looks like. Does Yehovah ever talk about an us when he's talking about him and Israel? I don't think so. Never saw that construction before. Makes sense that it would be Moses. And when you came to this place, Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, came out against us to battle. And we conquered them. But who's the us? Moses did fight with Israel and their men. But the women and the children did not conquer anyone. No, the women and the children, they don't fight. Of course, Moses is Israel also. It could be that Yehovah is us. He's saying us and Yehovah, but that doesn't make any sense. And it says, but when does Yehovah ever talk about us and we in order to include himself with Israel? He doesn't do it. It just doesn't happen. Moses does it all the time. We took their land and gave it as an inheritance to the Reubenites, to the Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh. And you shall keep this, the covenant's words. You shall keep this, the covenant's words. Which one? The Sinai covenant or the Moab covenant? They don't work together. Why is that? I want them to work together, but they don't. And you shall keep this, the covenant's words, and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. That's what we saw, the blessings. The blessings are going to come upon us. We're going to prosper in all that we do. All of you today, all of you, here's that today again. All of you today is this word right here. Ha-yom. Ha-yom. You know, everywhere else, practically everywhere else, in the Torah, when he talks about he divided the day and the night, he uses Hayom, the day. Practically every time in Deuteronomy. We're talking 60 some times, maybe 65, almost 70 times. He translated it as this day, this day, this day, this day, over and over and over and over. From verse 1 all the way to verse 34, we see this word. What's happening on this day? All of you stand today. When I remember, when I have the green, that's y'all. That's second person plural. All of you stand today before Yehovah, your Elohim, your leaders, and your tribes, and your elders, your officers. Remember, this is your leaders, your tribes, your officers, all the men of Israel. This is who they are. You know, it's kind of like, what do they call that? We've talked about it before. Chiasm. Remember the chiasm? C-B-A. Actually, this would be D-C-B-A. the leaders, the tribes, the elders, the officers. A is all the men of Israel. Now it's going to go the other way, macro to micro. Now it's going to the men that they're leading. These are the men that are over us. Then we're going to go to the people who are under us. All the men of Israel. Still the same your little ones, your women. Now it says also the stranger. It's not what it says. It says this: your little ones, your women, and thy. Now it's changing to second person singular from second person plural. Your little ones, your women. Now it changes. I think this is so weird. To thy ger, who is in thy camp. From the one who cuts thy wood to the one who draws thy water. You see how it's all focused on those one group of people, all the men of Israel. This is an interesting thing. Verse 11, look what it's got. It's got second person singular and second person plural. Starts with second person plural. Switches to second person singular, but it's talking about the same group of people. I ask myself why, and we've seen this a lot in Deuteronomy, where he talks about the people, but then he talks about thy. Well, I think it was even in the last chapter. It was almost all thys, wasn't it? Yeah, thy. Your. They're thys. But this is obviously a large group of people, isn't it? Well, let me go back to what I was going to say. I don't want to lose this train of thought. I got to get back to that same verse. It must be... This book keeps switching back and forth from second person singular to second person plural. We've seen it. That's the green. That's the yellow. We're seeing it go back and forth and back and forth. The question is, why? Why does it do this? You know, this is another characteristic of Deuteronomy. Places where we're used to seeing the your, we're seeing the thy or the thous. Why? Here's a thought I had just while I was studying this. What if we were to understand this thou, this second person singular thou, which seems to be addressing all the Ezra men, as each one of thee. Because we're not talking about any man in particular. You know, we're talking about Yehovah. We talk about thy word, thy people, thy servant. When we're talking about Moses, it makes sense. It would be a thee. But we're talking about a group of Ezra men. Yet we're talking about thy. Keep in mind, Ezra has got no plural. That's part of it right there. What if we are to understand this thou, which seems to address all the Ezra man as each one of thee? Could we read it like that? Would that make sense? Let's consider this as we finish Deuteronomy. We're going to see places today where we're going to see the your and the thou in the same thought. Why does it go back and forth like this? Let's read it this way. Your little ones, your women, doesn't say wives, your women, and each one of thy ger, who is in each one of thy camp. Gates, you could say it that way. From the one who draws each one of thy waters, to the one or wood who cuts each one of thy wood. I don't even know how to say it with that way. To the one who draws each one of thy water. Can we think of it that way? Would that help us? He's talking to Israel. I like that about the chiasm. I hadn't thought about that until just now when I was talking to you. But that's exactly what's going on. A, B, C, D, E. So here's A, B, C, D, E. Well, I guess when we talk about the ger, we're maybe talking about who cuts your wood, who draws your water. That could be the same person, I suppose. But it's a chiasm. It's all about Israel's men. All Israel's men. It doesn't say all the men of Israel. It says all Israel's men. Okay, verse 12. That you may enter into covenant with Yehovah, your Elohim, thy Elohim, that thou may enter into covenant with Yehovah, thy Elohim, and his oath, which Yehovah, thy Elohim, makes with thee today. How is Yehovah making a covenant with us today? When we entered into covenant with him at Sinai, we had just become his people at Passover. Remember, he only talked to the Ezra man, didn't talk to the ger. He said, don't go near a woman for 3 days. That was just before we came up to the mountain. He wanted us clean. How have we entered into covenant with him today? What have we done? This day, we're going to see, is the day that Moses is going to die. He appears to be giving us all these instructions in Deuteronomy this day. Hayom. That he may establish thee today, here's that same thing, each one of, how did I say it? Each one of thee. That he may establish thee today as a people for himself. That's the only way I can interpret this. Each one of thee. Each one of you men as a people for himself. And that he may be Elohim to each one of thee, just as he has spoken to thee, and just as he has sworn to thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are talking about a patriarchal society, aren't we? I make this covenant and this oath, not with y'all alone. Here, let me go back up here. Today. Okay, no, we didn't need that. Who is this I? Moses or Yehovah? This seems to be more like Moses. I make this covenant and this oath, not with you alone, but with him who stands here with us today. I make this covenant and this oath, not with you alone. I'm talking all Israel. But with him who stands here with us today. Who is this? This doesn't make sense. Is there somebody else besides the you that's with us today? Could it be the ger? Maybe it's the ger. But with him who stands here with us today before Yehovah our Elohim. Now it says, as well as him who is not here with us today. Could that be us? Could that be me? Again, what's the covenant? Seems different from the first. Besides, I made with thee in Horeb. For you know that we dwelt here. Let me see what my note says. As are men of the future, yeah. For you know that we dwelt in the land of Egypt, that we came through the nations which you passed by, and you saw their abominations and their idols, which were among them wood and stone and silver and gold. Talking about the idols. You know, idols are wood and stone and silver and gold. They always make the Elohim wood and stone, don't they? We see that. So that there may not be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turns away today from Yehovah our Elohim to go and serve the Gentiles, lawmakers, and judges. They translate this as the gods of these nations. But here it is. It's the Goy's Elohim. The Goy's Elohim. Who are the Goy's Elohim that we are not to serve? A heart whose heart turns away. This is what we're not going to have. A man or a woman, a family or a tribe whose heart turns away from Yehovah, our Elohim, our lawmaker and judge, to go and serve the Goy's Elohim, the Gentiles, lawmakers and judges. That's what we're talking about. We had idols. Now we're doing the Elohim. That makes sense. And that there may not be among you a root bearing bitterness or wormwood, having someone who's going to worship the Goy's Elohim. Yeshua. Is Yeshua one of the Goy's Elohim? He's not even alive. He's not there. I guess you could say the same thing about Yehovah. But Yehovah is Spirit Elohim. He was never flesh. But this is what people do. They serve Yeshua. Can't have that root, that wormwood of bitterness in our ranks. It's a poison. It's a contamination that spreads. What are we going to do? We got to just get rid of them. And so it may not happen when he hears the words of this curse that he blesses himself. This is the man who is following other Elohim. Here's the words of the covenant. Here's the blessings and the cursings. And instead blesses himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, even though I follow the dictates of my own heart. Moses says, as though a drunkard could be included with the sober. You gotta be kidding me. But this is what most people do. They bless themselves without even being Yehovah's people. They claim the blessings, but they won't make themselves Yehovah's people. As though a drunkard could be included with the sober. Shame on us. I did it for years. Yehovah would not spare him. For then the anger of Yehovah and his jealousy would burn against that man. And every curse that is written in this law would settle on him. And Yehovah would blot out his name from under heaven. How does Yehovah blot out a man's name from under heaven? He does it by destroying his seed. The man and his seed is how he's going to destroy him from under heaven. Yehovah would not spare him, for the anger of Yehovah and his jealousy would burn against that Ish, that man. And every curse that is written in the book would settle on him, and Yehovah would blot out his name from under the heavens. Under the heavens. Remember, the heavens is where the birds fly. But now that is well written. To blot out man's name from under the heavens is to kill him and all of his seed. A daughter would provide seed for another man, not her father. He's not going to kill the daughters. It's not about killing the daughters. It's about killing the man and his seed to blot out his name. Yehovah will change the rain Yehovah will change the rain of thy land to powder and dust from the heavens. I just wanted you to see the heavens. Where's the heavens? The heavens is where the birds fly. We saw that in Genesis 1 also. Let's continue. And Yehovah would separate him from all the tribes of Israel for adversity, according to all the curses of the covenant that is written in the book of the law. The book of the law. Which book of the law are we talking about? Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers? Or Deuteronomy? Seems like there's 2 books now. So that the coming generation of your sons, not children, this is sons, thy sons, your sons in this case, your sons who rise up after you, and the foreigner, the Ben-Nakar, no, not the Ben-Nakar, the Nokri, and the Nokri, the foreigner who comes from a far land, would say when they see the plagues of that land and the sicknesses which Jehovah has laid on it. What are they going to say? Here it is. The whole land is brimstone, salt, and burning. Hear that? The whole land is brimstone, salt, and burning. Right now we have a nation that calls itself Israel. Yet these people who call themselves Israel, primarily Judah, yeah, there's a lot of people who aren't even Judah that are there, but primarily Judah, they don't follow Yehovah, they don't keep his commandments, they haven't left the kingdom of their birth. They're still doing the same things that every American does, that every U.S. citizen does, that every Canadian does, that every South African does, following the Elohim of the land, not Yehovah. Look what he says is going to happen. I expect this to happen to Israel. You know, people think about Israel going down. Israel's got to go down. That state of Israel's got to go down so that Yehovah can raise up pure Israel. Real Israel. We're talking about the curses that are falling on this people for following other Elohim besides Yehovah. They won't even say Yehovah's name. The plagues and the sicknesses which Yehovah lays on it. It says the whole land is brimstone, salt, and burning. It is not sown, nor does it bear, nor does any grass grow there. Like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, which Yehovah overthrew in his anger and his wrath. Yehovah is a jealous Elohim. We serve other Elohim besides Yehovah, and then say we're Yehovah's. There's going to be payment. And I think, you know, a lot of people are looking for, Israel's going to get nuked. No, I don't expect that Israel's going to get nuked. I think Yehovah is going to do something to Israel. It's going to come from the heavens. It's going to be supernatural. It may be that the same thing that happened at Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, is going to happen to Israel. Wouldn't that speak volumes to the people of the earth? especially as he begins to raise up his true men of Israel, his Ezra men. What does my note say for this? I think Elohim is getting ready to do this to the state of Israel, and then perhaps the whole earth. Yeah, it could be that he's going to do it to the whole earth. Look what this says. This is really interesting. This is Joel. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness like the morning clouds spread over the mountains. A people come great and strong. Those are the men who waited on Yehovah, who renewed their strength. The like of whom have never been, nor will there ever be such after them, even for many successive generations. A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. Hear that? The land is like a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Nothing shall escape them. This is what we're talking about. A land of brimstone, salt, and burning. Behind them a desolate wilderness. You know, wilderness is coming to a neighborhood near you. Near me. Our goal is to become Yahovah's Ezra men. As a Gentile, leave the kingdom of your birth. Join yourself with Yehovah's people, and then at Passover come into covenant with him and become his people, his Ezra men, his heir. There's safety there. 24. All nations would say, why has Yehovah done so to this land? What does the heat of this great anger mean? These are the Gentiles. The world would say, the Gentiles, all the Gentiles would say, you know, if you're not Israel's seed, you're the nations. The nations, they translate Gentiles, goy. Here it is, goy. Goyim, ha-goyim, the Gentiles. There it is. Would say. The people would say, then the people would say, the Gentiles then answer their own question, and they say, Yehovah, their fathers, Elohim. Yeah, it says, then this is, they're answering their own questions. All the people would say, why does Yehovah do this to the land? What does the heat of this great anger mean? They're going to answer their own question. Then the people would say, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yehovah, their fathers, Elohim, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. Okay, so which covenant are we talking about? We're talking about the Horeb covenant, aren't we? The covenant which he made with them when he brought them out of Egypt. For they went and served other lawmakers and judges and worshipped them, lawmakers and judges that they did not know and that he had not given to them. You know what? When he gives us a king, that's a lawmaker and a judge that he's going to give to us. But even the king's going to follow Yehovah's ways, or is supposed to. I put first it was the golden calf, then Assyria, Egypt, and finally Babylon. These are the places that we went. They served other Elohim and worshipped them, Elohim that we did not know. Then the anger of Yehovah was aroused against them. Remember, he's a jealous Elohim. And the anger of Yehovah, I'm reading up here on the right. Then Yehovah burned against that land to bring on it all the reviling that was written in this book. This seems like it should say the anger of Yehovah shall be kindled in this land. Yeah, it seems like we're talking about more of a future tense at this point. Then the anger of Yehovah shall be aroused against this land. That's what it seems like to me. And each curse that is written in this book. And Yehovah uprooted, or shall uproot, here, what did I put here? He shall uproot them, as it is this day. Yeah, as it is this day. Well, here, let's just read this. Rooting them out of this land in the heat of his wrath and passion, and driving them out into another land as it is this day. Is this future tense? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe we're talking about could we be talking about Israel when the temple finally went down? It seems to me there's more. This seems more future tense, as it is this day. Uprooted them from their land. Well, here, let's look at it in the context of Yehovah saying it to Israel right now in the land of Moab. We haven't even got our land yet, have we? Yet, it says, and Yehovah uprooted them from their land in anger, in wrath, and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. Okay, as it is this day. What does that mean, as it is this day? We're not even in our land yet. He goes on. The secret things. The secret of Yehovah our Elohim. It doesn't say things belong. You probably do that. The secret things belong to Yehovah our Elohim. But those things which are revealed belong to us, Israel's seed, and our sons. Here it is, it's sons. And are to us, this says us, to us, there's the us, this says to, and to our, here it is, our at the end, sons. This looks like B'nai, but it's Benim. It's just conjugated. It's Benim. And to our sons forever, that we may do all the words of this law. This, all the Torah's words is really what it's saying. We should do this, all the Torah's words. That's where the safety is. Us teaching our sons to do all the Torah's words. Here's 30. I put it as a title for this chapter, Return to Yehovah from all the nations. Now it shall come to pass, when all these things come upon you. You know, last week we talked about, why do bad things happen to good people? Good. What is good? Good is relative, isn't it? Yehovah is the one who says what is good and what is not. He says, what does it say? Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are righteous in their own eyes and prudent in their own hearts, because they have forsaken the law of Yehovah their Elohim. Why do the blessings and the curses come on us? Look what it says. Now it shall come to pass, when all these things shall come upon thee, the blessings and the cursings which I have set before thee, and you call them to mind among the Goyim, where Yehovah your Elohim drives you. Are you starting to take the hints? Are the curses falling on us enough so that we can finally say, wait a minute? You know, men look to the future. Women are more centered on what's happening today. A man, when they're getting ready to have a new child, is looking for a way to increase the income of the house. A woman having a new child is doing a nesting urge to make things right in the house. We think differently. I think that affects these blessings and these curses. We look at them differently. He says, and you return to Yehovah. You know, the evil things are coming on us. I guess I was thinking about my own self. I saw the future ahead. I saw what this government was doing to the people who were supposedly, I thought this was a good government. Till I saw them attack Oklahoma, the Oklahoma bombing, the Twin Towers, and saw some of the evil things that this government is doing. I realized I don't have a righteous government. I gotta do something. Those were the curses coming on me. Maybe not directly, but I still knew that I had to do something. I don't know if you've seen what's gone down here in, I guess it was Las Vegas, Nevada. Here just recently, talking about one shooter. Looks to me, but the evidence is starting to show that there were many shooters. And not in the window that they said he was shooting from. It was different windows. Who is doing this? And what is the ultimate goal? To get rid of guns in the land, perhaps? Gee, there's something nobody's ever thought about doing. He says, and you return to Yehovah, your Elohim, because you're seeing the curses come on us, and obey his voice according to all that I commanded you. He says again, this day, you, thou, and thy sons, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. It's about men and their sons returning to Yehovah with all their heart and with all their soul. All thy sons, return to Yehovah and be gathered. Remember, I pray, this is Nehemiah 1, 8 and 9. Remember, I pray, the word that Yehovah commanded your servant Moses. If you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the nations. Well, that's what's happened to us. But if you return to me and keep my commandments and do them, though some of you were cast out to the farthest part of the heavens, yet I will gather them from there and bring them to the place which I chose as a dwelling place for my name. Right now, we don't have a place that Yehovah is choosing as a dwelling place for his name. Will it be Israel or Jerusalem in the future? Maybe, maybe not. Yehovah's had his name in many places throughout the years. Right now, he's not in any place. That Yehovah, your Elohim, will bring you back from captivity and have compassion on thee and gather thee again from all the nations where Yehovah, thy Elohim, has scattered thee. You can't remain in the nation. Now, I'm not talking about leaving any geographical location. I'm talking about dwelling in the land as in a strange country, getting rid of those covenants that you have with your Elohim and becoming exclusively Yehovah's people. I talk about this in my Coming Out series. He's going to gather us. If thou be driven into the utmost part of heavens, from thence will Yehovah thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. They added a few extra words there in the New King James. Then Yehovah thy Elohim will bring thee to the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. He will prosper thee and multiply thee more than thy fathers. You know, that's what the blessings are all about. Multiplying thee, prospering thee. Bring it on, Father. Teach me your ways. I want to live that way. I want to dwell safely under my own tree. Let it happen in my lifetime, Father, please. And Yehovah thy Elohim will circumcise thy heart and the heart of thy seed. Thy seed, thy heart, thy seed. Here it is. It's Zerah. To love Yehovah thy Elohim. Remember, seed are men. Men who produce men, who produce men, who produce men. To love Yehovah thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou may live. Remember, bone of our bone. If we become his son, our woman becomes his daughters. Our daughters are kept safe because they are under our authority, and our sons. Also, Yehovah thy Elohim put these curses on thy enemies and on those who hate thee, who persecuted thee. I put, finally, payback. You know, why do the wicked prosper? Why does the wicked prosper? They do for a time. But it's not going to happen forever. Yehovah will put these curses on your enemies, thy enemies, and all those who hate thee and who persecuted thee. You know, just because it says you doesn't mean it's you. He's talking about Israel's seed. Become Israel's seed. That's where the safety's at. And thou wilt again obey the voice of Yehovah to do all his commandments, which I command thee today. This day, there it is again. Ha-yom. This day, Yehovah thy Elohim will make thee abound in all the work of thy hand, in the fruit of thy body, the increase of thy livestock, thy behemoth. Is the word that we were using. We saw that back when we were looking at the blessings and the curses. And the produce of thy land. Remember, it's only Israel's seed who's the thy who gets the land. For good. For Yehovah will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. Oh, Father, let me make you happy. If you obey the voice, if thou obey the voice of Yehovah thy Elohim, to keep his commandments, his statutes, which are written in the book of the law. This book of the law. That's what it means. It actually says, this book of the law. And if, so we get this, all these good things are coming on us. If you obey the voice of Yehovah thy Elohim to keep his statutes, his commandments are written in the book. And if thou turn to Yehovah thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Can we do one and not the other? Could we keep his commandments and his statutes, but not do it with all our heart and with all our soul? I think this is what Yom Kippurim is going to be about in the final days before we go into the millennial kingdom. Once Yehovah returns, it appears to me that that's what Yom Kippurim, remember, we've got two goats exactly alike. One's going to live, one's going to die, one's going to go into the wilderness. I think it's the ones that have their fully confessed sin, who have turned completely to Yehovah, who follow him with all their heart and with all their soul. Nefesh, thoughts and emotions, heart is that spirit that only Yehovah knows in us, who are going to continue into the next kingdom. Because why? Because they're keeping the commandments of Yehovah and his statutes, but they're not doing it from the heart. They're doing it because they're smart and they don't want to be a part of the curses. But they've never really turned. And you know what? That may be what Israel was like when we went in the first time, when Moses was saying, You got a hard heart, guys. We're going to see it next week. You got a hard heart. You've always had a stiff neck since I've known you. This time, Yehovah wants men who have a heart for him. For this commandment, which I command you, again, here it is today, Hayom, is not too mysterious for thee, nor is it too far off. It is not in heaven that you may say, who will ascend into heaven for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it. Here it is, this is Shema Asa, that we may hear and do it. They translated it really nicely, that we may hear and do it. That's exactly what it says. Nor is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear and do it? But the word is very near thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart. Now remember, he's talking to Israel's seed here. These are people who were raised on his word. We've gotten way far away from his word. But you know what? I think Yehovah is going to make a way for every man to hear something that's going to say, I want to know more. I want to find out more. It's those who seek his word diligently who are going to find him and his word. The word is very near thee and in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou may do it. See, I have set before thee today life and good, death and evil. Today, Hayamim again. Yeah, I like this whole portion, 15 through 19. See, I have set before thee today life and good, death and evil, and that I command thee today to love Yehovah thy Elohim, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, his commandments, and his judgments, that thou may live and multiply, and that Yehovah thy Elohim will bless thee in the land which thou go to possess. He says, but if thou wilt not, Shema, hear and obey, and are drawn away and worship other lawmakers and judges and serve them. I announce to thee today, this day, the day I'm going to die, that thou shalt surely perish, that each of thee shall surely perish. Could we say it like that? Each of you shall not prolong thy life, prolong thy days in the land which thou cross over the Jordan to go in and possess. I call heaven and earth as witness against thee, that I have set before thee life and death, blessings and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Thou and thy seed, thy descendants, your descendants. Actually, thy descendants. I just did it wrong as older notes. Thy descendants may live. Deuteronomy says, I call heaven and earth today. I call heaven and earth to witness against thee today. You know, heaven and earth is a witness against us. The ground we walk in, the air that we breathe, is a witness against us. That thou wilt soon utterly perish from the land which thou cross over the Jordan to possess. Thou wilt not prolong thy days in it, but thou wilt be utterly destroyed. That's Deuteronomy 4. Thou and thy descendants, that thou may love Yehovah thy Elohim, that thou may obey his voice, and that thou may cling to him, for he is thy life and the length of thy days. He is thy life and the length of thy days. Father, give me long life, please. I've got a young wife. to take care of. And that thou may dwell in the land which Jehovah swore to thy fathers. You know, it looks like he's going to bring us back to the same land eventually. But is his name going to remain in the same place? The place that he places his name? Is it going to be in the same place? We'll see. Well, I'd like to continue one more chapter if we can get it done today. It's fairly lengthy, but let's see how far we can get. I'd really like to get done with this. Last days, they turn away and evil will befall them. Then Moses went and spoke these words to Israel. Here's Moses speaking to Israel. And he said to them, here it is, I am 120 years old this day. Here is this day that we're talking about. Sometimes it says today. Sometimes it says this same day. But it's always the same word, hayom. Here. Hayom. There it is. And he said to them, I am 120 years old today. This is the hayom that we're seeing in Deuteronomy 1 and all the way to Deuteronomy 34. Hayom, hayom, hayom. I can no longer go out and come in. Blessed shall you be when you go out. Blessed shall you be when you come in. I can no longer go out and come in. Is this why it seems that there is so much discrepancies in this book that was written? Otherwise, how do you explain these discrepancies? Also, Yehovah said to me, thou shalt not cross over this Jordan. Yehovah, thy Elohim himself crosses over before thee. Yehovah is going to cross over before thee. You know, Joshua is Yehovah's Shalach. Remember, the Shalach is the one who speaks for Yehovah. What he says is what Yehovah says. What he does is what Yehovah does. What he gives is what Yehovah gives. Where he goes is where Yehovah goes. Is this what we're talking about? The pillar of fire and smoke stopped after we crossed over, but Joshua led the way. Yehovah, thy Elohim himself crosses over before thee. He will destroy these nations from before thee, and thou shalt dispossess them. Joshua himself crosses over before thee. Yehovah, thy Elohim crosses over before thee. Joshua himself crosses over before thee. Say person, his Shalach, just as Yehovah has said. And Yehovah will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og. Oh, don't want to be a part of that. That's what Jericho was so afraid of. They saw those Israelites coming over. Oh, what did they do to Og and Bashan? We couldn't defeat Og and Bashan. They did easily. And now they're coming after us. Look, the water's splitting and letting them cross the river. Oh, we're in big trouble. Yehovah will give them over to you, y'all, that you may do to them according to every commandment which I have commanded you. What did he command us to do? That you may do to them according to every commandment which I commanded you. What did he command us to do to them? He did it, and it said it here in Deuteronomy 20. But of the cities of these people, which Yehovah, your Elohim, gives thee, Yehovah thy Elohim gives thee as an inheritance, thou shalt let nothing that breathes remain alive. But thou shalt utterly destroy them, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, the Jebusite, just as Jehovah thy Elohim has commanded thee. Lest they teach you to do. Here's that same thing. You, thee, you. Maybe this is where we need to do that. Jehovah gives each one of you as an inheritance. Each one of you shall let nothing that breathes remain alive. But each one of you shall utterly destroy them. For Jehovah, each one of your Elohim is, how do you say that? Just as Jehovah, each one of you, Elohim has commanded each one of you, lest they teach y'all to do according to all the abominations which they have done for their Elohim, their lawmakers and judges, and you sin against Jehovah, your Elohim. We don't want to learn their ways, and they have to be removed from the earth. Can't have them dwelling in our land because they're going to teach us false ways. That's going to be that wormwood, that bitter root that we talked about in the last chapter. Got to go. Can't be a part of us. Be strong and of good courage. He's saying this to Joshua. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. No, this is not saying this to Joshua, is he? He's saying this to the people. Joshua will cross over before them. Jehovah will give them over to y'all, that you may do to them according to every commandment which I have commanded you. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. For Jehovah, each one of your Elohim, he is the one who goes with each one of you. He will not leave any of you, nor forsake any of you. Then Moses called to Joshua and said to him in the sight of Israel. So now we're talking to Joshua. He says, then Moses called to Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, be strong and of good courage, for thou must go. See, now it says thou. That makes sense when we're talking about one man, doesn't it? But when we're talking about a group of men, it's harder. Thou must go with this people to the land which Jehovah has sworn to their fathers to give them, and thou shalt cause them to inherit it. That's his job. He is working for Jehovah as his shalach. And Jehovah, he is the one who goes before thee. He will be with thee. He will not leave thee nor forsake thee. Do not fear nor be dismayed. So Moses wrote this law and delivered it over to the priests. This law. And Moses said, this is 31. I guess I didn't translate this one. So Moses wrote this law and delivered it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bore the ark of the covenant of Jehovah, and to all the elders of Israel. He wrote this law and delivered it. This law, the thing that he did this day. This is the other covenant. Here it says, and we're going to see at the end of this chapter, so it was when Moses had completed writing the words of this law in a book, that they were finished. And when they were finished, then Moses commanded the Levites who bore the ark of the covenant of Jehovah, saying, take this book of the law and put it beside the ark of the covenant. Beside the ark of the covenant. Which one are we talking about? The Horeb one or the Moab one? See, these are questions that we have to ask ourselves. And put it beside the ark of the covenant of Jehovah thy Elohim, that it may be as a witness against thee. And Jehovah said to Moses, behold, I come to you in a thick cloud. Thee, talking to Moses, come to thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe in thee forever. So Moses told the words of Jehovah to Elohim. It says, believe on thee, in thee forever. And Moses commanded them, saying, at the end of every 7 years, at the appointed time, in the year of release, at the Feast of Tabernacles. This is a very specific day. This is yesterday. This is the second day of the Feast of Tabernacles. We're talking about yesterday. If it were in the 7th year, it says every 7 years at the appointed time in the year of release. Remember, every 7 years is the Sabbath year, is the time that servants get released, that debts get forgiven. Here, we saw this here, Deuteronomy 15, at the end of every 7 years. You shall grant a release of debts. And this is the form of the release. Every creditor who has lent anything to his neighbor shall release it. He shall require it of his neighbor or his brother. His neighbor or his brother. That's the ger or the Ezra. Because it is called Yehovah's release. Here we had a Hebrew servant. Hebrew servant comes to us. He shall serve these 6 years. Max. You know what? What if he comes to you in the 5th year? He's still got to be released. That's what I say. It's 6 years max. And in the 7th year, he shall go out free and pay nothing. If he comes in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he comes in married, he and his woman shall go out with him. If his master has given him a woman, and she has borne him sons and daughters, the wife and her her Yeladim, you could say offspring, shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. Here the man's going out by himself. Look what the last verse says. If a man sells his daughter to be a female slave, female servant, a amah, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. This is in the year of release. So here is what we have on the left. I'm going to read it on the right. And Moses commanded them, saying, at the end of every 7 years, at the appointed time, at the Moed, in the year of release, at the Feast of Tabernacles. Remember, 3 times a year, all your males appear before Yehovah, Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. But once every 7 years, this happens in the year of release. At the Feast of Tabernacles, when all Israel comes to appear before Yehovah. That's all Israel. 3 times a year they come with all their males. Thy Elohim, to the place where he chooses. Thou shalt read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Gather the people. Now it says, Ha-Enoshim. Ha-Nashim. This is all the men, all the women. Ha-Taf. And thy ger, who is within thy gates, that they may hear, that they may learn to fear Yehovah thy Elohim, and carefully observe all the words of this law. And that, what does it say? Their sons. Their sons. This is not their Yeladim. This is not their Taf. This is their sons who do not know the law. May hear and learn to fear Yehovah your Elohim, as long as you live in the land which you cross over the Jordan to possess. Those are all second person plural. Possess. Here, I have that. Their sons. Possess. Let's go to 14 now. Then Yehovah said to Moses, Behold, the days approach when thou must die. Here's Yehovah speaking to Moses. Thou makes sense. Second person singular. That thou must die. Call Joshua and present yourselves, you and he, in the tent of meeting, that I may inaugurate him. So Moses and Joshua went and presented themselves in the tent of meeting. Now Yehovah appeared in the tent, in a pillar of a cloud, and a pillar of cloud, and the pillar of cloud stood above the door, the tent's door, above the tent's door. And Yehovah said to Moses, Behold, Thou wilt rest with thy fathers. Here's Moses, Jehovah talking to Moses. Thou wilt rest with thy fathers, and this people will rise and play the harlot with the foreign lands Elohim. This is the same construction that we see in Abraham's Elohim, or thy father's Elohim. Elohi, Nakar, Haaretz. The foreign lands Elohim. This is why we're told to destroy all that breathes when we come into the land. And Jehovah said to the people, behold, thou wilt rest with thy fathers, and this people will rise and play the harlot with the foreign lands Elohim, where they go to be among them. Then they will forsake me and break my covenant which I made with them. Then the anger, remember, Yehovah is a jealous Elohim. He doesn't want us serving foreign Elohim. Then my anger shall be aroused against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they will be devoured. Yes, we can't serve two Elohims. And many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, have not these evils come upon us because our Elohim is not among us? Yes, he's not among us. And I will surely hide my face in that day because of the evil which they have done, in that they have turned to other Elohim. Yes, they've turned to other Elohim, other lawmakers and judges. I am Jehovah, thy Elohim, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohim existing before my face. This is what it's all about. Now, therefore, write down this song. Okay, we're going to hear the song next week. It's called the Song of Moses. It's not a happy song entirely. Who's the song for? Look what it says. Now, therefore, write down this song for thyself, for yourselves, and teach it to Israel's seed. Israel's seed. This is B'nai Israel. You know, this is so interesting. This song is found in chapter 32. This is two, in this verse, it talks about B'nai Israel, B'nai Israel. This is two of only 8 times in Deuteronomy that uses B'nai Israel. 4 of them are in this chapter, 1 of them is in the next chapter, 1 or 2 of them are in the chapter after this. All the rest of the places it talks about Yehovah thy Elohim, Yehovah your Elohim, Yehovah our Elohim. It doesn't talk about B'nai Israel. Yet, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers talks about B'nai Israel exclusively. Just a few times does it talk about Yehovah our Elohim, thy Elohim, your Elohim. Now therefore, write down this song for yourselves, and teach it to Israel's seed. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against Israel's seed. This is an important song. We're going to talk about it next week. When I have brought them to the land flowing with milk and honey, of which I swore to their fathers, and they have eaten and filled themselves and grown fat. Eaten and filled themselves and grown fat. This talks about Deuteronomy 32. But Joshua grew fat and kicked. You grew fat. You grew thick. You are obese. Then he forsook Elohim who made him, and scornfully esteemed the rock of his salvation. When I brought them to the land flowing with milk and honey, for which I swore to their fathers, and have eaten and they have eaten and filled themselves and grown fat. Then they will turn to other Elohim and serve them. Hear that? Other lawmakers and judges and serve them. And they will provoke me and break my covenant. Not going to keep his statutes if we don't serve him with all our heart and with all our soul. Then it shall be, when many evils and troubles come upon them, that this song will testify against them as a witness. For it will not be forgotten in the mouths of their... No. Oh, look at that. Oh, this is so interesting, you guys. This doesn't say in the mouths of their seed. You know what it says? It says, for it shall not be forgotten in the mouths of his seed. His seed. We're talking about Yehovah's seed. Yehovah's spiritual seed, true Israel, is not going to forget the words of this song. For I know the inclination of their behavior. Today, this day, even before I brought them to the land of which I swore to them. His seed, oh, that's really beautiful. Therefore Moses wrote this song the same day, and he taught it to Israel's seed on the same day that Moses died. This actually is a different construction. On the same day. It says on the same day. Again, it's still Hayom, but now it's just saying it a little bit differently. But it's still the same day. Therefore Moses wrote this song the same day and taught it to who? Israel's seed. It's Israel's seed song. So then he inaugurated 30. Then Moses spoke in the hearing of the assembly of Israel. Oh, the assembly of Israel. We're going to talk about this later on. The assembly of Israel is Israel's seed. Just so we know who we're talking about. When it talks about Israel's assembly, here it says Israel's seed, or as Israel's assembly of Israel, the assembly of Israel is literally Israel's assembly. I like to do it like this so that I can remember that it needs to be said in the hearing of Israel's assembly. The hearing of Israel's assembly, the words of this song until they were ended. So when we hear these same words, where was it? Yeah. Therefore Moses wrote this song the same day and taught it to Israel's seed. And Moses spoke in the hearing of Israel's seed the words of this song. I want you to see Israel's assembly and Bnei Israel are one and the same. Same thing. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Got to put it together. Ezra men, we saw that. Bnei Israel, the native born, all the same thing. Then he inaugurated Joshua, the son of Nun, and said, be strong and of good courage. I thought he'd been inaugurated already. Apparently not. This is Moses that's doing this. For thou shalt bring Israel's seed into the land which I swore to them, and I will be with thee. Oh, this must be Yehovah speaking, apparently. Therefore Moses wrote this song. Then he inaugurated. Who's he? Moses or inaugurated? Is he speaking for Yehovah? And I will be with thee. Certainly Moses is not going to be with him, so it has to be Yehovah is going to be with him. So it was. When Moses had completed writing the words of this book, here's a couple different translations. Now after writing the words of this book, words of this law in a book, till the record of them was completed. Here's EB. And it came to pass when Moses had made an end to writing the words of this law upon a scroll, until they finished them, that Moses commanded the Levites who bore the Ark of the Covenant, saying, take He's talking to the Levites, right? Take this book of the law, put it beside the Ark of the Covenant of Yehovah, your Elohim. He's talking to the Levites, and he's using your Elohim. That makes sense. The Levites are the only ones who could actually have access to the book of the law, and really only the priests can have access to the book of the law. So it's more than just the Levites, it's the priests. But now look what he says. Take this book of the law, put it beside the Ark of the Covenant of Yehovah, your Elohim. That makes sense. That it may be as a witness against thee. Thee? Who's thee? Who is thee? Who's Jehovah speaking to? The Levites? B'nai Israel? That would be a your. That's why I say maybe this is just another one where we're talking about kind of the same thing. Each one of you, each one of thee, and it will be a testimony. It will be a witness against each one of thee, like that. The book of the Torah. Put it beside. Let's continue. For I know thy rebellion, each of thy rebellion. Here we got the second person singular, and then we have second person singular, or second person plural. For I know each of thy rebellion, and each of thy stiff neck. If this day, same thing again, this day, for I know thy rebellion and thy stiff neck, behold, even while I am yet alive with you. We're changing you now. Second person. Ye have been rebellious against Jehovah. How much more after my death? Gather all the elders of your tribes and your officers, that I may speak these words in their hearing, and call heaven and earth as witness against them. For I know that after my death you will become utterly corrupt, and turn aside from the way which I have commanded thee, and evil will befall thee in the latter days, because you will do evil in the sight of Yehovah, to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. Then Moses spoke in the hearing of, here it is, in the hearing of Israel's seeds, the words of this song, until they were ended. Next week, we're going to hear the song of Moses that is spoken for Israel's seed. It's their song. His seed knows that song. Isn't that interesting? His seed. His seed. You know, you don't talk about talk about Jehovah's son. Who's the son of Elohim? It's not Jesus. Maybe he was one of the sons of Elohim, or he was a son of Elohim, but he's not the only son of Elohim by any means. We just have never learned how to read the scriptures. We don't understand how a man comes to life, eternal life, how we are born a second time, a spiritual birth into a spiritual kingdom. Well, we'll talk more about that next week when we talk about the Son. We'll talk about the Song of Moses. Hey, thank you for joining me. We'll see you later. Bye now.